The other day I realized that I'm going to school in the fall. Like, really going. I got accepted into a degree studying English a few months ago, and I guess I set it on the back burner for a bit because I kind of forgot. The only reason that I forgot is because I took a year off to work, and yeah. Anyways, this is really starting to stress me out because I have pretty down bad social anxiety. Like, I hyperfixate on my breathing, and it makes it harder to focus when I need to be focusing. This led me to overthinking my entire life and questioning whether or not I really need this degree. I do. However, in doing so, I have unfortunately uncovered my awkward middle school phase and a handful of unfortunate memories, one of which I wanted to share here. So, I was a weird kid. I was the weird kid growing up. Well, maybe I wasn't the weird kid, but I was definitely the quiet one for a little while there. This means that I spent most of my summers alone in my room, drawing to my heart's content. I would put a movie on in the background, or I would listen to scary stories while I drew. And when my wrists decided to give out from the amount of drawing that I was doing, I would play Minecraft instead. This combination eventually led to an itsy-bitsy obsession with creepypasta. When I say creepypasta, I'm not talking about your average horror stories here. I'm talking about the absolute ensemble cast that was the creepypasta fandom. Cast members included, but not limited to, Jeff the Killer, Slenderman, Eyeless Jack, Laughing Jack, Tiki Toby, Masky, Hoodie, Ben Drowned, Darklink, the Puppeteer, Jane the Killer, Sally, and much, much more. I'm not too sure about how the fandom is doing today, but back then there were endless quizzes and fanfics about becoming a proxy or visiting the Creepypasta Mansion, and y'all, I was obsessed. I remember I had these cheap little scribblers, and I would fill them with fan art of whoever I was most obsessed with that month. It was basically my version of One Direction, but like edgy and cool, because who wouldn't want to live in a mansion in the woods with a bunch of friends? If you said no, this is not the video for you. Now, I mentioned earlier that when I wasn't drawing, I was playing Minecraft. You may think, what does Minecraft have to do with anything? Oh, I'll tell you. Just because I wasn't reading fanfics about creepypasta 24/7 doesn't mean that the obsession stopped. Oh boy, you bet I expressed my love for it in Minecraft too. I'm not entirely sure if it was a universally agreed upon fact, but I have this very distinct image in my head of what the mansion looked like. And whenever I played Minecraft, it would always turn into a 3-hour-long game of me trying to recreate the mansion with spruce wood and old Minecraft building tutorials I found on YouTube. And so I figured that instead of killing the proxy within me, that it would be fun to try and recreate the Creepypasta Mansion as I remember it. You can think of it sort of like an ode to the fandom that encouraged me to pursue this English degree. Starting off strong with the location of the mansion. To the left you may see trees, and to the other left, more trees. The mansion has always been in the middle of the woods, and I personally always pictured them as pine woods. This made sense in my mind because it meant that there would basically be endless resources to convert into rooms for the seemingly endless amount of creeps joining the mansion. Seriously though, this would always be the part of building in Minecraft where I would just kind of give up and work on something else. This is because I could never decide on whether the rooms would be decked out or pretty standard. And even if they were decked to the nines, Xbox Minecraft didn't have a lot of options back then. A few things were pretty much guaranteed though. The proxies shared a room or roomed next to each other. Slenderman had the master bedroom at the top of the stairs. The mansion was always somehow bigger on the inside. Bedrooms are on the second floor. And when it comes to everything else, there was the lab in the basement, the living room near the foyer, a game room, a grand staircase, a dining hall fat enough to fit all my favorite characters, a kitchen with yellow walls, and a surprisingly empty attic. Also a detached greenhouse. No, there wasn't a garage, because Slenderman can teleport people at will. The mansion is technically in its own forest dimension, and only Creepypasta have the ability to enter and leave the barrier. There's a big hill, and a training yard, and there is also a lake somewhere. Now, obviously, my faint memories from middle school may be a little bit different from yours, and we probably imagine different mansions, but this is what I can remember daydreaming about. Now that everything's sorted, I'm going to start with the outside of the mansion. If you search up haunted mansions on Google, that's basically what I'm aiming for here. I don't think that there were any windows in the basement, and I can't remember there being a third floor, but I do remember the absurdly high ceilings, and there was definitely a front porch. I just realized that if anyone were to hear that specific section of the video, and only that, they might think that I'm recalling actual events or memories, and let me tell you, that is how vivid these memories are for me. This place was a very real place in my mind, at that age at least, and they have been, like, carved into a very specific section of my brain. There are a few sources of inspiration for the mansion, the first one being the Phantom Hive Manor from Black Butler, particularly the stairs in the hallways. I was watching Black Butler at about the same time when I got into Creepypasta, so the two just kinda merged in my mind, I guess. The second one being the Jackson Mansion in Berwick, Philadelphia. I heavily referenced it here because I realized after I started drawing that I desperately need to work on my perspective fundamentals. So, yeah. And the third inspiration coming from the Pink Palace from Coraline, mostly as motivation to draw for about 8 hours straight, and I like the vibes. So as you can see, I did try to draw the mansion on my own at first, but for the sake of time, I ended up referencing the Jackson Mansion. I added more windows and stretched it to add to the sense of scale. Please ignore the fact that it still comes off as same answer, different wording. It still felt too small though, so I did go ahead and add an extra section for the dining hall and some more rooms. I didn't like the amount of blank space on the side of the dining hall, but I also didn't want to add more windows to the front of the mansion because I felt like it would create too much clutter in contrast to the rest of the front. You know, the big porch, the detailing on the roof, and the tower-looking thing. So I went ahead and slapped a trellis on the side of the building. If you don't know, a trellis is basically a wood or metal structure that is used to create a space for plants to cling to, usually roses or bushes or vines or some sort of thing. I won't be adding that to the mansion at this point in time, just because I feel like not doing it. So instead I compromised by putting a bunch of green splotches all over the mansion. You may be wondering, what are they? They are in fact intended to be moss. So this is when I realized that I had messed up. That tends to happen when you heavily reference a building which you have no clue as to the layout of, and your tiny little pea brain forgot to think about the fact that the mansion you're referencing is nowhere near the size of the mansion that you are drawing. This is fine, it just means that some of the rooms might end up with 7 windows. Moving on to the back of the mansion. So the reason why I referenced the Jackson Mansion so heavily for the front side of the building was due to the interesting architecture. In my personal and not at all professional opinion, the backside of the Jackson Mansion does not have the same amount of intrigue as the front side does, and so my little pea brain decided to slap a bunch of windows on the back of it to fill up all that blank space. I also went ahead and added a balcony and a back porch. You're welcome. The video has taken me a lot longer than I thought it would, but I wanted to say thank you for watching it. I had a lot of fun working on this project and just revisiting old nostalgic memories. Yeah, I'm gonna have to end the video there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you stick around for the next one. Bye!